here's a bit of a question that I'm struggling with. Perhaps you guys can help me with it. Does a sharpshooter weapon, such as the Prisma Grinlok, have any place in Warframe's melee meta? What do you think? How about we find the answer together? Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be diving deeper into this primary weapon. As per the usual, I'm going to have a cheap build, something affordable that most Tenno should be able to build, but of course we also got the endgame setup with a crazy Riven. That said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides usually take a new player friendly approach. I'm going to be taking my time and explaining whatever I feel is necessary for newer players. So in case you're a vet and you already know most of this stuff, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Prisma Grinlok. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped. And for that, just a couple of free shots. The Prisma Grinlok is a pretty simple and straightforward primary weapon. It's a hit scan attack, semi-automatic trigger, and a lever action animation to go with it. Now the main advantage of this weapon is the accuracy. This one is pinpoint accurate no matter the distance. Allow me to demonstrate with our, less than usual 70-meter test. And I think I'm gonna fall off the platform. 72 meters? There you go, my friends. 72 meters till the target. Pinpoint accuracy every single time. Not only that, but take a look at what happens if I go full fire rate. Unmodded, of course. Now let's get close to see where the bullets landed. Same spot each and every single time. And it's a little bit to the side, but that's because of my high DPI on the mouse. Essentially, the Prisma Grinlok is nothing more than a scopeless sniper rifle. So if you fancy yourself a bit of a sharpshooter, you should definitely look out for this one. Now, if it did actually have a scope, it would have been slightly better because then we could leverage that whole combo system and get more damage out of the weapon. As it stands though, it's a pretty interesting experience. The magazine is 21 and the reload is 1.7 seconds, which for a weapon of this type is decent. One last thing which I want to point out when it comes to usability, I want to draw your attention to the recoil of the weapon. It has no recoil, zero. You see that animation? It looks like the crosshairs kind of jiggle a little bit, but in fact, you're getting pinpoint accuracy every time. There is an effect on the Prisma Grinlok. Every time that lever animation goes through, you get a little bit of smoke, a little bit of vapor, which kind of distorts the image because that's how it would be, right, in real life. Every time you pull out the casing of the bullet, the high caliber bullet, you're gonna get a little bit of smoke. And that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. There is no recoil, there's just a little bit of image distortion because of that specific effect. So bear that one in mind. Now, let's have a closer look at stats to see precisely what we're dealing with. Mod capacity 60 out of 60, and if your comes with only 30 out of 30, jump into actions, plug in that auto king catalyst, double that mod capacity. Is it worth it though? Well, yes, but with a big asterisk. If you fancy yourself a sharpshooter, if you fancy yourself Mr. Headshot and you go for it every single time, then definitely go for the Prisma Grinlok. If not, maybe perhaps something a bit more AoE-ish and easy to use. Link in the cards right now for a full and detailed guide on the Ignis Wraith. Now, the Auto King Catalyst costs 20 plat to have one installed. You can grind one from Nightwave and you can also get a blueprint from the Daily Sortie. Some events in Warframe also feature an Auto King Catalyst as a possible or guaranteed reward. Now, my weapon has been 4-mod a total of 6 times. Is it worth it? Well, 6 4-ma is a lot, but for the weapon build I'm recommending you 4 4-ma should be enough. Simply plug in 4 V symbols or Madurai. If you got a Riven, you might want to go to 5. The accuracy on this one is going to be 32 as a number, but to be honest, this doesn't matter and do not go heavy caliber. Again, the main advantage of this weapon is the accuracy. If you're just going to go heavy caliber, then you're going to ruin that. Allow me to demonstrate. Not really worth it. As you can see, bullets are all over the crosshairs. So instead of doing something like this, you might as well play with a shotgun if that's the experience you're looking for. Critical chance and critical damage on this weapon are pretty good. Base crit chance 21%, nice. Critical multiplier though very nice at 2.9x and a fire rate of 1.67 with a magazine of 21 and a reload of 1.7 seconds. No, it's alarming. And one of the big pluses of the Prisma Grinlok is that high Riven disposition of 4 out of 5, my friends. We can leverage the power of Rivens, but that power comes at a cost. Status chance 37%, which is good, but good only because if you consider how many bullets, how fast you put into your target, 37% is kind of like mandatory, 30-something%. The damage 187 per bullet, which is good. Pity about the IPS layout. Don't get me wrong, slash is highest, but then it's followed closely by impact and just a little bit of puncture. Weapon Excellus or Plexilus slot. It's not worth unlocking. This one costs 20 plat to have unlocked, or you can use an adapter if you farmed it. If you don't know where to get the blueprint, from any syndicate you have maxed out. But what will you use in this one? There's no point to plug in something like PFS. The weapon is hit scan, so no need for projectile flight speed. You're never gonna have any issues with ammo either, so stabilizer? What for? The weapon has no recoil whatsoever, so save your resources on this one and keep the Weapon Excellus slot locked. Speaking about locked, let's check out a standard build, shall we? Damn it, that segue made no sense. Damage with Serration, multi-shot with split chamber, critical chance and critical damage with point strike, vital sense and deadly sequence. Haha! The thick plottons. What's a deadly sequence, Leyzar? Well, my friends, I'm glad you asked. This is a Grinlok only mod, which puts this weapon, well, used to put this weapon over the top. 200% critical chance and +1 sequence. I mean, come on. Point strike offers you 150 at a higher drain cost as well. And you might say, what's the sequence? Well, that's the parent sequence effect. It's a syndicate effect. When you get 2000 affinity, all enemies within 25 meters of the player receive 1000 radiation damage and a guaranteed radiation proc. And radiation procs means that basically your enemies are gonna start fighting each other. So you can look at it as a form of very effective crowd control, I guess. Also, the player recovers 25% of their maximum shields, and base shields are increased by a whopping 50% for 30 whole seconds, which is absolutely amazing, man. And you might think, dude, what if I run a setup like everything's maxed out, right? There's no affinity to be had. You're gaining affinity anyway, even if you're not leveling anything whatsoever, so you will still get that fantastic sequence proc, so bear that one in mind. Now, being a critical weapon, you got a moo-moo. And if you moo-moo, you got a vital. It's as simple as that. Now, I give this mod a lot of crap because you know what? It bloody deserves it. But considering the meta, if we didn't have hunter munitions for primary weapons, it would really be pointless to have primary weapons all together. And of course, the 260-60 vital mods. This is a super cheap build. Nothing here is expensive. And if anybody asks more than 10-15 plat maximum for deadly sequence, then simply find another player that is willing to give you a better price. Again, this one from the parent sequence syndicate. I forget, something like 50,000 or 40,000 standing, something like that. Now, Rhyme rounds you can farm from spy missions, and Malignant Force very easy from Corrupted Vor in the Void. Now, let's check out how she'll perform against level 120 Corrupted Heavy Goons as per usual. No corrosive projection and no arcanes to skew the test results. And of course, what you want to do is go for straight headshots. If you get the procs that you need, you're gonna absolutely annihilate a high level target. Equally though, if you don't get the procs that you need, it's gonna be a pretty lackluster experience. Take a look at that. One shot in the target, one slash, 2 vital procs is gonna stop around 15% health right there. Now, if the planets align and you get the right proc, you can even get a one shot out of the weapon. But more often than not, you will have to shoot your targets a couple of times, at least at this high level. The performance of the weapon, from my humble point of view, considering the MR, considering that this is a super cheap build with no Riven, is decent. But it used to be a bit better than this. Back in January of 2020, Digital Extremes removed the 4x IPS rule in Warframe. Now, before they did that, proc priority number 1 was slashed, followed by impact and vital third. And that would have worked better for the weapon. It used to work better for the weapon simply because you need more slashes than you need vitals. You need one maximum of 2 vitals out of the weapon. What you really need is to apply those slashes. And slashes come from hunter munitions and the weapon's innate slash value mixed in together with a status chance. So bear that one in mind. As you saw there, the performance could be a whole lot better, and we can make it a lot better if we leverage the power of Rivens. Now, this one is a loaner from a friend, it's not mine. The Grinlok Seti Crit-Tata multi-shot, critical chance, damage minus impact. I mean, it doesn't get better than this. It's as simple as that. It doesn't get better than that. That minus impact removes the chance of impact proccing, leaving way for more slash procs, more vital procs, whatever, but not impact procs. This is the reason why minus IPS on a Riven can be considered a positive stat sometimes. It depends on the weapon, it depends on the circumstances. It's not always a good idea, but in this case, it's absolutely fantastic. And look at this guy, he rolled it once! He bloody rolled it once, I'm so not jealous right now. Now, unfortunately, if you're gonna go Viral Mumu with a Riven, you're not gonna have room for Point Strike, simply use Deadly Sequence instead. Another option is to drop Mumu and just go for Corrosive, but this will be more effective. One more time, my friends, the level 120 Corrupted Heavy Goons, and we're gonna go for headshots as before. You got a much higher look at that. 45,000 bleed, absolutely annihilating the target. With a Riven such as this, of course, your chances of getting a one-shot have gone through the roof. It's still possible not to get a one-shot, and that depends on RNGs, how lucky you are with the procs. But take a look at that, 51,000. Absolutely annihilating these high-level targets. Take a look at the bleeds. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now, of course, my friends, a Riven such as this, even though Grinlok Rivens are not very expensive right now, a good roll will still set you back a whole lot of plat. So I would only really recommend it if you love the weapon. Now there's still one more thing which we can do, bump up everything with Warframe buffs, and for that we're going to be using the ever so lovely Lady Mirage Prime. By the way, I have a Mirage level 0, I didn't even know. Check it out. When it comes to buffs, go for Corrosive Projection against heavily armored targets. Now, you shouldn't really feel forced into this one. If your Warframe build calls for, I don't know, Energy Siphon, Sprint Boost, Physique, or whatever else, go for the aura of your choosing. And if you want to make that aura slightly, ever so slightly more efficient, check out this one, Coaction Drift. 15% strength, aura strength, and 15% aura effectiveness. Now, that might seem a little bit vague because, well, it is vague. If you want to know exactly what Coaction Drift does, there's a nice table on the wiki detailing the bonuses Coaction Drift offers depending on the aura, so bear that one in mind. Arcanes, on the other hand, well, these puppies are a lot more impactful. Arcane Rage R5, farm from the third Eidolon down on Cetus. On damage, a 21% chance for plus 45% critical chance for 12 seconds. This is a bonus additive after applying to your primary, secondary, and to your melee at the exact same time. It's absolutely fantastic. As a secondary arcane, we're gonna go with Arcane Rage R5. This one is a lot simpler. On headshot, a 15% chance for plus 180% damage to primary weapons for 24 seconds. Again, from the third Eidolon down on Cetus. But if you guys don't want to Eidolon farm, well, in that case, you can simply buy them from the trade chat. This being a primary weapon, there is still one more trick that you can employ to boost the damage. Get yourself a Sentinel. Any Sentinel will do, but on that Sentinel's weapon, make sure you get the Vigilante mods. Fervor, supplies, offense, and armaments for the 20% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons. Even if your little Sentinel dies and never comes back to life, you will retain said buff. We're gonna bump up the level to 155, even though it doesn't really matter all that much ever since the scaling changes of 2020. Now past level 70-80, because of how armor scaling and health scaling changes, it's less impactful than it used to be, but there you go. We're gonna go to 155, unpause the target so they can hit me and I can get my buffs. We're gonna activate Mirage's Empower ability that you can get from the helmet system, then her free ability Eclipse for an absolutely massive damage increase. And one more time, my friends, the best animation in Warframe, her ever so lovely clones. Beautiful, brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it? I would suggest you go straight for a headshot and you're gonna absolutely annihilate whatever stands in your way. You can also go for a body shot if you so desire, but the one shot is no longer guaranteed, so bear that one in mind. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But of course, this is Mirage Prime, we're talking about the most powerful weapon buffer frame in Warframe. So the question remains, is the Prisma Grinlok worth building in 2021? And the answer is twofold. It depends on you. What kind of player are you? Do you just care about power, brah, and more efficiency? Because in that case, build a melee. Any melee will do. The builds are basically the same. Swing it twice and everything will die before you. But if you're the kind of player that remembers that Warframe at its core is a shooter and that's what you want to play, if you like skulking behind the towers and getting that all-satisfying headshot, watching the target get annihilated, then you're gonna be loving your time with the Prisma Grinlok. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And if you got any sorts of feedback for me, by all means, my friends, drop it in the comment section down below. Also in the comment section down below if you guys want to suggest any particular type of content. Now, in all honesty, I can't exactly promise you that it will be done by next time or even within a week because these things kind of take a while to make, but what I can promise you is that I will be reading through each and every comment. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. Hey, and if you love the content, consider supporting us via Patreon. Link in the cards right now. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.